All right. Episode number 91 of the Shant and Ari podcast. Shant, how you doing tonight, big guy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I know you went on a nice little trip. You didn't stop by Arizona, but I just got an email. I'm still trying to do my PPP loan forgiveness from 2020.
The second
So
round or
no, the first one is still the first round, and I'm still trying to do the forgiveness because I
that was a
forgot about
fairly
it.
easy process. I did one of those. It wasn't
Yeah,
too bad.
for me, I forgot, and then like 2 weeks ago, I was like, shit. I owe it. I got a bill that I owe it. And I'm like, oh, damn. I go to my account on Chase. My account's locked. Like, you're done. You're out. You're blocked. You know, you just owe 20. You owe the money, man. And then I've been trying to I called Chase. I went to Chase. They don't like, oh, you got to call. So I'm trying to figure that out, man.
That whole department got erased
Yeah.
when COVID got
And it
yeah.
stopped.
Yeah, no more forget what do you talk what happened exactly? We were giving out loans. Is that what was going on?
So
Um,
how was Austin? So a couple of things I want to ask about Austin, right? Because I was listening to Joe Rogan yesterday. Actually, he lives in Austin. I don't know if
we
you stopped
passed by
by.
his house on the boat we rented.
Yeah, did you stop by the his podcast and tell him like, hey, we could
Yeah,
use.
I hopped on real quick. It was fun. He's aggressive, man. Um,
But
really, really good time.
he was talking about he had someone on talking about the homelessness problem in L.A. and then he brought up Austin, how Austin's really cleaned up recently. So I don't know if because you've been to Austin before.
Yeah, actually, dude,
So
I fucking love Austin, man.
okay, talk to me.
Austin's a really, really cool city. It's a little I don't know if I completely agree about the homeless situation getting cleaned up that well,
Mm,
but it definitely is a very, very cool city to be in. I don't know if I would necessarily raise a kid there,
okay.
but I would definitely go to college there or spend like a good part of my 20s there.
What's so
Um,
cool about it? Is just like a party scene cool or like what's because you've
well,
been here, you've been to Arizona, right?
yeah,
Obviously.
yeah, yeah. It's similar. It's similar in a few different ways. The party scenes are similar. The age demographic is very similar. The food is really they get very, very creative. Home prices are fairly low, increasing for sure.
Yeah.
What got me is the personality of the people.
Okay.
The culture is what got me. The culture is very, very mellow, very, very all about sort of enjoying uh, what's happening now. Like, granted, they always have live music playing, so they're constantly just like kind of like hanging out, enjoying like a good time.
Mhm.
Not partying. I'm just saying like enjoying a good
Yeah.
time. So it was really, really, it was fun to be there.
It's like Milan where you're walking around, there's just music playing.
I've
Um,
never been to Milan. Is Milan like that too?
yeah, the square. Ask your dad. He knows. He knows what's up.
We got to talk one day about places that we both have been to that are really cool. I'd love
Okay.
to talk about that.
Because you have some cool places too. Yeah.
Yeah, I got some cool places too. So anyway, we were sitting down the last night at one of the bars or whatever, sort of like winding down, and one of the guys in the group chat sends a message about Will Smith smacking Chris Rock. It was the funniest shit I've ever seen. Um, and so yeah, it was definitely really, really funny. But I kept on watching it over and over again. I'm like,
Mhm.
what the fuck? Why did he smack him for this? This is the dumbest shit to smack somebody over. It's like, dude,
I didn't even get the joke until someone explained it to me. I didn't understand it. I said, "Gee,
so so let me ask you that. Let me ask you a couple of things. First of all, do you think it was worth smacking somebody over about a simple joke about your wife?
no,
Okay,
no."
say you were an actor. Say you were a major actor at a major televised event, and that happened. It's slightly embarrassing. And say you've already been scrutinized for being a little bitch over the past year
Yeah, because of your wife.
because of your wife. What would you have done? Would you have sat your ass back down and let it go and risked being a little bit humiliated on that end? Like Will didn't do anything? Or do you think it was more embarrassing what he did now?
I think it's more embarrassing now. I would have maybe cursed him out or something. I didn't understand the joke first. I had to ask people, I don't get the Jada Pinkett Smith, like G.I. Jane didn't get it. Like,
So apparently she has what's called alopecia.
yeah.
Alopecia, and I'm going to give you, because we've been hearing about a little bit of a conspiracy theory.
Okay. Okay, now I know what the conspiracy theory, what you're going at.
Pfizer was one of the people sponsoring the show, and apparently they have a thing in their pipeline for treating alopecia.
Yeah.
And they were trying to get a bunch of attention and like alopecia awareness.
But no, I don't think Pfizer would do anything wrong or, set something up to make more money. They would never do anything like that. Pfizer's, very noble company, I'm sure. So,
so yeah, there's like a conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory is, here's what I think. What immediately after I saw it and I was kind of like watching what was going on, I think Will and Chris made an agreement with each other for this whole thing to happen in an attempt to Will to regain some of his public image back.
So I disagree, right? Because I don't see how this helps Will. This doesn't definitely help Chris. I mean, Chris has definitely not been like scrutinized, but it doesn't help his career, right? He actually spoke about it today. I think today's Thursday and the event was Sunday. He was at his comedy show or whatever that sold out like so much more. Prices were going up, and he's just like, I'm not talking about it. Like he just kind of cut it short. Didn't really talk much. He's like, one day I'll talk about it, but really, like, it was very like short about his response. And Will, he had a lot to lose, which he still does have a lot to lose, because he was up for an Oscar, which he won, right? And they may take it away from him, which I think they should. That's just my opinion. I don't think you could physically assault someone on, during an event and not get kicked out.
Apparently, they asked him to leave.
And he said no, right?
Yeah.
Did you see the new video released today of another angle where Jada Pinkett Smith was laughing after he smacked Chris Rock?
No. Is that right?
Yeah. If you go to Instagram, go to Barstool Sports. You follow that guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Go to him. And if you guys haven't seen this yet, go to his page. Is it his page? No. Who's the guy? The guy.
David Portnoy.
Huh?
David Portnoy.
Yeah, but I thought he posted it. Barstool. David.
So you're telling me that Jada Pinkett, in a different angle, was laughing afterwards because Will smacked him?
Yeah, there was another angle.
Wow. So she's in trouble. No, I'm kidding.
No, that's not the page. I don't know why I thought that was the page. I saw it somewhere else.
I'll find it and
you'll find it.
I'll check it out. But so what would you have done, Shot? Would you just let it just slide?
First of all, so this is what people need to understand, right? So I'm a normal human. So yes, I would let that slide, right? If someone said that about Betty, I'd like like just cut it out, right? Like just, talk to him after, like, hey man, don't say shit about Betty. But that's coming from a normal human, a normal family. So what people need to understand, and then it was kind of this kind of sick that people were like gave him a round like a standing ovation or whatever, like Will Smith. I think that was just terrible. Like these people are actors all there in their glory trying to like put this persona of like we're such great people and we are this amazing cast of people, but most actors actresses are pretty screwed up in the head in that Hollywood life, right? They live a different life than we do. They are scrutinized, they are in the public image 24/7. It's a different life they live than we live, right? So for a normal human, that was terrible what he did. In that, I mean, the Smith family, I don't care what anyone tells me, oh, he's a very spiritual guy, Will Smith. Like, they're a weird family. That's not, I see a lot of people saying, oh, goals, family goals. That is not family goals, bro. Like that is, that is, if that's your goal, great, good for you, man. But for me and my family, that is definitely not goals because they are a weird family. Okay. The whole entanglement situation, which I'm sure you know about, where she has open relationships with her son's friend or something like that. That's weird.
Yeah, man. That is just I'm having a lot of trouble wrapping my head around why Will stayed with her after that. I read his book, by the way.
Mm.
It was a pretty cool book. It was a pretty interesting. It was like a biography more than it was a book, but it sort of gave you a lot of sort of insight into his life, like what life was like for him. Very, very interesting audiobook to listen to, especially he was the narrator. So
He's got good. So what are your thoughts about the whole family? Like, should he have reacted that way? Should he not? Like, I mean, his wife publicly, I think it was public where she slept with her son's friend. It's freaking weird.
that is mad weird, bro.
And yeah, so what are
personally me? I don't think. I think that I wouldn't have been with Jada after that whole thing. I think that he at this point is so insecure about his public image that made the most sense to him at the time because I think he was so insecure that he felt like he needed to stand up for himself for everything in the past that was said. Like he felt like that was another attack publicly at him, as opposed to just seeing it in the perspective of the like one joke that was being made. I think that he reacted to much more than what the actual event was, what the thing that took place was.
I mean, he was like laughing. He laughed at the joke, which was the weirdest part.
I think he did it. I think he was laughing, but things started to settle in.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, you laugh, but then like, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Like the thoughts start building up, and then you take action.
Well, how do you think? So let's flip it. How do you think Chris Rock handled it?
I think he was very, very confused.
Like, let's say if it was real, right? Because you think it might be set up. Let's say if it was just real. Right, I think it was real, but let's just go with that point.
I think he was very confused as to why the enormous mismatch in terms of action and response. Like these two things were not equal.
Mm-hmm.
Like that joke was not deserving of that reaction. Maybe if he said that, Jada or Will could have like just yelled from the crowd, like "Go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, that would have been okay.
Oh, you fucking moron! Like something like taking a stab back at him, like you suck. Get off the stage.
Or like, yeah, she has a health condition, asshole. You
Yeah.
know,
Or like get up and leave.
yeah,
Like protest the fucking the show. Do like a do a little bit better of a response than doing that, because that was just they were just not aligned.
yeah.
So I think that the response was, in a way, it was a response to a lot of the other shit that he's been scrutinized over in the last few years. I don't
So
think
you
that.
think? So you just think he was so? I thought, because I know a lot of people say Chris Rock was a kind of the weak one in that, right? Because he didn't do anything, he didn't retaliate back, right?
I don't think that he could have. I don't think that Chris Rock was prepared to react in any possible way. I don't think that he was even able to come up with even like a curse, or like he. I don't think it would have looked good for him in any possible way. Whether he reacted, running back after him and like getting into like an actual physical altercation, or saying something, it's so anti what you're supposed to do in Hollywood that I think that Chris Rock reacted correctly. I don't consider him a bitch. I just consider him a better, a better businessman or actor
No, I
for
think,
for how he acted.
yeah, what you're trying to say is he acted like a true professional.
Right. Outside of that, that performance or whatever, he probably would have acted way differently. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah,
But
so
there, he did the right thing.
yeah, I think he was very professional. He was doing his job. And Will Smith, like, you're at the Oscars, the person's job is to roast the people there. So why are you surprised that he roasted your wife with a very,
It was a stupid joke, though.
it wasn't even that good of a joke.
It wasn't. It was stupid.
Like, it wasn't like a, oh my God, like he crushed her. It was just like it was like um there was even a better joke that like Space Jam 2, right? I don't know if you've seen Space Jam 2. Do you even know
I
what Space
have.
Jam? Okay.
What joke?
With LeBron, or one of the girls, Regina, Chris Rock didn't say it. Someone said it was like they're surprised that Space Jam didn't win the effects award, like for best effects or whatever, with the way they actually fixed LeBron's hairline, because he has a jacked up hairline and it was like straight. So I thought that was actually funny. But yeah, just if I was Will, like what I would have done, you asked me backstage, I would have talked to him, communicated a little bit better, like, hey man, like that's not something you should do. My wife has this public apology. I think you should apologize in public, blah, 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 move on. Because right now, what I would do if I was Chris Rock, I'm going to do a Netflix special and just roast the whole Smith family. Get paid 50, 60 million. Hey, Netflix, you want to pay me 60 million? I'm going to do a special on the Smith family and go to town. Because I'm petty. That's just me. So that's what I would do.
I guess tying back to our topic for tonight, what I want to talk a little bit about was communication, and it seems as though it's very, very clear that Will Smith has a major communication problem. And listening to his book, he has a big nice guy problem. Will Smith. He's been plagued by this nice guy problem for the longest time. Not just so much that he's a nice guy, but he also has a problem of feeling like he's never been good enough. A lot of this relationship issues that I think Will has with his wife and with a lot of people in his life has a lot to do with communication. And his response shows exactly how bad his communication skills are, that he wasn't just able to just do what he's known for doing and making a joke right back.
Yeah.
Because you would have heard it. If Will Smith said something in the crowd, guarantee you people would have heard it.
Yeah.
So I think that one of the biggest pitfalls in becoming an adult as opposed to being a child is developing very bad communication skills or lack thereof. Not having communication skills. I think that this is one of the key areas that I've been working on over the past few years, and I've been suffering, honestly, for pretty much all of my life from having terrible communication skills. What has your experience been like in terms of communication for you, Shant? I mean, have you always been good? I'm not gonna lie, you were kind of a fucking crybaby growing
I
up.
was it? What? How was I crybaby?
Your mom loved you, bro. Your mom loved coming after you and just seeing what the fuck was wrong. What does Shant want? So I guess maybe you were a good communicator. Like you cried, told them what you wanted, got it,
How
went
was I a
back.
crybaby? I wouldn't cry. When did I cry?
Are you getting defensive, bro?
Because no, I think I was definitely a stubborn child. I know that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your communication skills.
Yeah.
What are Shant's communication skills like now, and how were they before? Has it always been consistent, or
No. Yeah. So it's been pretty rough, right? I always used to hold stuff in, right? And like you said, let it build up, right? And then so like even with Betty, like when we first started dating, engaged, wouldn't say anything. Week goes by, some little thing happens, boom, upset, right? And she's like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? Right. Um, at work, similar. But as I've grown, right, and got older, you just kind of learn that like you don't learn automatically, right? There's still people who are 50 and can't communicate for shit, right? But you realize if you want to get ahead, I think further, which we both plan on doing, right? I think you start realizing how important communication is, because you just, without it, so many things go wrong. If that makes sense.
yeah, 100%. So more than any time, it was the last like year or two that I've been working on my communication issues. So let me give you a little bit of background. I didn't know I had terrible communication skills. I thought I was pretty good.
That's usually the first step to being a terrible communicator.
So you could be the best MC, best TV show host, best YouTuber. I don't care who you are. You could be the best of the best in terms of getting your message across. But getting your message across does not mean that you're a great communicator. Being able to process internally what it is exactly that's bothering you, and having the courage enough to let it come out of your mouth is a completely different story. The courage to let it come out of your mouth as opposed to bottling it up and expressing it via resentment is a one-way ticket to personal hell. Let me start off by saying that. Now, I came to the realization that some of the pains and some of the headaches and some of the terrible moods that I was constantly in were not as a result of some sort of physical problem or some sort of muscle issue or anything like that. According to the book Radical Honesty that I read, these pains and these aches are manifestations of all the different things that you're bottling up inside of you. Apparently, bottled up resentment and bottled up negative feelings and emotions come out, they first of all they grow inside you, according to
Hmm.
the book, and present themselves as physical aches and pains. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's pretty
That's deep.
intense. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's intense. Because I mean that makes sense though, right? Because like when you have anxiety and stuff, like people who are more anxious, they get sick more, right? Like it's uh or people who are negative complainers, like so these kind of stuff makes sense how it relates to physical, I believe.
Do you see any sort of truth behind that in terms of like how it would work for you? Let's say you're having a problem personally. Do you find some sort of incongruency when you got a problem? Let's say the workplace, and you're walking into the workplace. You get out of your car and you're about to walk up, and you're supposed to be cool. You're supposed to be all cheery and fucking, hey, how's everybody doing? But like, you got a problem. How does that manifest itself when you're walking into the meeting or into the interaction with the person that you may have a little bit of an issue with, like the person's being a little bitch, and you're giving it a little bit of time, like giving it about a week or two until you say something, but like you're ready to say it then, like, bro, you're making me look bad.
Well, you notice that, right? So like sometimes you notice people, right? You'll be in an office environment, right? And then someone walks in, you just feel they're off. Like you just like, hey, that just right. So I think that's what you're asking. It's you could feel that energy from the person who is just holding some shit in and is, feeling a certain way. And um, so it's funny. I was on a Zoom with a couple of people last week, right? It was like four of us, and one of the person that was on it, I know the two people that were on it. One of them was staying quiet the whole time, and when they were quiet, they were quiet. But then when they spoke, they were super aggressive. When they spoke, they're quiet most of the time, but when they spoke, they were super aggressive. Fast forward a couple of days later, I was talking with the other person, not the one that was thing, and I was like, "Hey, this person's been thing," and he's like, "Yes, this is what I've been experiencing with him. There was this issue we had, and it's been radio silence for like 2 weeks from that person, and it's the first interaction they've had. So it's like you feel, and me being the third person in there, I was just like, what's going on here? This feels very weird. So that's what I think you're kind of talking about, right? So like holding stuff in, everyone I think around you notices.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't let it come out, it could severely damage not only your relationship with that person, but any sort of future interaction that you may have with that person onward. Like it just gets in the way. Now, how does it now in terms of how communication works in in situations where you don't have a problem with the other person, you have a problem internally that's stopping you
Mm.
from getting what you want. A lot of times I'll have needed to do something, or I need to do something, but I just can't get myself to figure out exactly what it is that I want, and it's gotten in the way of like being able to produce a decent result on the spot. Like I'll be talking to somebody about a car. Like for example, I was on the phone with one of my BMW guys, and we were talking, and we were talking about somebody else's car, and he goes, "Yeah, dude," he goes, right now I can pretty much get you any car you want. It's going to be about a 4 month turnaround." In the back of my mind, I'm like, "Dude, I would love to put in an order for a car."
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, I don't know if I want to. Which car do I want? I know I've got a little bit of like a internal conflict that I can't translate properly. and being in the discussion with the person, like you could have been a little bit better prepared. The guy knows you now as the guy that doesn't know what the fuck he wants. So like,
But do you think he could have gotten it out of you and talked it through with you? Like, hey, Adi, it seems like you're kind of struggling with a decision. Like maybe talking it out and having someone bring it out. Do you think that would have helped?
see, the only issue with that, Shant, is not a lot of people have the courage right back to want to work out the answer out of you. So I'm finding out that we're in like a situation now where nobody even wants to spend that extra time to try and figure it out. They just
So,
expect you to
yeah.
know.
So I just had this conversation with my clients, right? Because I've been working with them for a little bit to find a house, and up front they were gung ho. Oh, we're doing this. Let's go. You know, they're out of state, so I haven't met them yet, and I'm helping them buy a house. They're going to buy without coming out here. Like they're not going to see the house. It's all FaceTime, and once they purchase, they will move out here and their family out here. Because he's like a big executive, he can't fly out. Like he's super busy, and you know she's got the kids, so it's just very difficult. So they were super gung ho, and every time we see a house, they're talking every day, talking every day, talking every day, and then a day goes by, I don't hear from them. 2 days, I just felt a different shift of energy when I talked to them last. So I called. I was like, "Hey, so what's going on? Like, I feel like you're struggling with something." And they were like, "We are." I was like, what's going on? Like, are you guys frustrated? Are you guys worried you're not going to find a house? Like, let's talk about it, you know? Like, so I think sometimes it's okay to like bring out the elephant in the room.
Now, talking about, bringing the elephant out of the room, what's an easier way for somebody to do that on their own? I'm not gonna lie, I still haven't found an easy way to communicate better. I just haven't. I'm working on it.
Is that with your employees or just people in general?
In general, man. Like, you know what I do is if something is bothering me and it's like a 3 out of 10 in terms of like the annoying or like inconvenience scale, I won't say anything, but like I'll wait until it's like a 7 or 8 on the inconvenience scale. So I won't be nitpicking the 3 out of 10s in an effort to just save it for the really annoying shit.
Yeah.
But I came to realize that there's a ton of 3 out of 10s for me that just bother the shit out of me. Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
Earlier today, we have a new contraption that spins the
Oh, you got that?
skewers. Yeah. And one of the employees put the chicken on the skewer, and they put it on in such a way that while it was spinning, it wouldn't turn.
Yeah.
It was constantly just staying down.
Yep.
And I'm like, I look at the thing, and I look at her, and I'm like, see that? And she looks at me, she goes, yeah, it's spinning. I'm like, no, it's not spinning. So, I just constantly find myself in these situations where like they're just looking at me like, you're so picky. And I'm like, go fuck yourself, man.
The point of the machine is to spin. It's not spinning.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And that pissed me off too.
And I guess, okay, like I'm not the easiest person to deal with. So what do you do when you're not the easiest person to deal with? And it's not 7 or 8 out of 10 that you're nitpicking. It's like 3 out of 10. And it's just constantly like bothering the shit out of you. What do you do when you're in that situation?
It's tough, dude. It's very tough, especially the way we've been raised and brought up in our culture, right? It's fucking difficult, right? One thing that comes to mind, I think it's being empathetic to the other person, right? Like truly like this person, first of all, like that person who, with the chicken, not spinning, they're not invested as you are, right? And being okay with that, right? They're there making, whatever bucks an hour. That's, and not everyone has the drive you do, right? And just being empathetic to their situation. Like some people just don't get it like we do. Not that we get it and everything, but obviously, but some things like I've realized, like I'm very like, I'm quick, bro. My brain moves very fast to like, if this happens, I'm thinking 3 steps ahead. When someone doesn't, I get very like, come on, man. Like you didn't see this coming. It's a fucking bus coming at you. You got to move, right? Like, but it's being empathetic to know like not all of us move in the same way. That's potentially one way. How do you get empathetic? I don't know.
So it's weird because my last relationship, I actually experimented with communication a decent amount, saying what I wanted and um, being a little bit more like upfront. And for some odd reason, communication it never fully works in your favor.
Well, I'll challenge you on that. That could have been the wrong person you're communicating with. Not
Granted. Let me give you a different example. One of my doctors going into the doctor's office for my nose thing. I told him, I'm like, yo, just giving you a heads up. I have a history with passing out, medical procedures, stuff like that. Get kind of fuck with me. And after that, he was just like very, very like careful. Oh, give him a minute. Like it's just maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah.
And like every single time, like he'd write a note like vasovagal response possible with patient. Like he would write it for the nurses. The nurses would come in like, do you need a minute? I'm like, no, I'm good. So like it, how much is too much? Should you communicate very, very openly? Should you wait? Are 3 out of 10? My communication has come to a point where I like sometimes I'll resist communicating to not look like I'm somebody who has something to say about everything. My employees, I don't want to say it too much because I don't want to look like I'm on their case. Not because I don't want to tell them every little detail. I just don't want to be on your case.
Mm-hmm.
Leo, for example, when are you guys going to tell him that kicking somebody else's toys down is making you guys look bad? Is that going to happen? What is the protocol?
It's communication is everything, man. Because I think that's what. So as the I've been listening to a lot of PBD, right, and he talks a lot about communication, right, and that in the business world, even in relationship, right, communication is everything, right. So how you communicate your vision. So in relationships, I have a vision of how I want the relationship to go. Right. In my mind, I have this vision. Now, if I don't communicate my vision of how I want the relationship to go, how I want my spouse to be, how I want them to see me, when they do something out of that vision, I get mad. Right. That's what happens. So communicating the vision with your employees, communicating the vision on where you see your restaurant going, the experience, the people, how you want the people to feel the food, communicate that vision. Because when I got onto this new role with my team, when a lot of people had left the company or were leaving when I got there, we would ask like, hey, what happened? They're like, well, there's no communication. They wouldn't tell us anything, right? And it was just very like communication was one of the main things. So I think it all starts and ends there. So like I think communicating your vision is a huge thing. So to Leo would be, hey, my vision is to not be looked at like a fucking idiot all the time. So please don't kick people's toys.
You guys were talking about how you don't want him to be held back in any sort of way or feel like there's a lot of restriction put on him. But you at the same time need to communicate that you're embarrassing the shit out of me. And one of the things that I think affected me growing up was constantly being restricted.
Both of us. Yeah.
And that restriction in itself restricted my communication skills.
Yeah, don't say this.
Right. Don't
say
feel
that.
like this. Don't
I'm
do
okay.
this.
Me say.
Right. So curious to know your thoughts on that. How do you find that sweet spot raising your kid, but at the same time not turning him into a little bitch?
Yeah, so that's huge, right? Because our parents definitely did the best they can, obviously, with what they knew. They didn't want to be embarrassed themselves. So they would tell us, hey, stop, don't do this, don't do that. Like my parents would always go, oh, Shant's such a quiet kid. He's such a quiet kid, such a quiet kid, such a quiet kid. So in my mind, I was just supposed to be quiet, right?
Shut the fuck up.
When you tell someone something so long. So like, yeah, it's a tough balance, man, because there is no perfect answer. Like Leo, like I wanted a hug from Leo. I was like, oh, Leo, come hug me, come give me a hug. And he just didn't want to, but I really wanted a hug from him and he just wouldn't. And Betty's like, it's okay. He doesn't want to hug you. He's not going to hug you. And he's like, she said, which was kind of really interesting. She's like, I don't want him to feel forced to do something that he doesn't want to. Like, how our parents would be like, oh, no, it's your cousin. Go say hi. It's like, no, I don't want, like, no.
Yeah. If I don't want to, I don't want to.
Yeah. So what we are doing is, and I know we talked about it briefly, we won't get into the whole thing, but putting him into a school at 2 years old. It's called Montessori. It's a Montessori school. And the purpose of the Montessori way they teach is independence, right? So when you go to a Montessori class, there's different stations, basically subjects, curriculum, right? But they let the student lead on what they want to learn that day. So they go, so it's not like, oh, right, oh, we got to learn ABCs, we got to learn this. It's like he goes to a station and he learns that, right? That's what he wants to do. He wants to focus on that. And then they teach him independence. Like, okay, you want your food, this, you got to go get it. You have to clean up your food after on your own. You have to wash your dishes. You have to do this, all these things, teaching him independence. So hopefully he's able to communicate better because he's leading, right? As a leader, leaders are supposed to be great communicators. So he's going to lead the teacher. Hey, this is what I want to learn right now. Boom. So as he gets older, he'll be able to communicate better. That's kind of our thought process behind it.
So I'm very independent. Like
You are.
I could, if you give me a fucking map and a tank of gas, I'll figure it out. But I never ask anybody for help. I don't like asking anybody for help.
You don't. I've noticed that as you said that, that clicked.
Yeah. So I consider myself capable. I consider myself very independent, but I consider myself a very, very stubborn person when it comes to getting myself to ask anybody to do anything for me.
Why do you feel like they look at you different, or they'll feel like you owe them something? Why is that?
Take this with a grain of salt. anytime that I've asked anybody for help, they failed me in the most miserable ways possible.
I hope I wasn't one of them.
Maybe. I don't know. So, to some degree, after a certain age, after I think it was like 15 or 16, I just stopped asking. Um,
Sorry.
which is okay. Like I'm perfectly fine. But like I'll find now, like lately now, I'll find different ways to like ask people to do things for, even if I don't need them. You know what I mean? Like I'll just ask, "Hey, can you do this for me?" But I don't actually need it. It doesn't make a difference for
Mhm.
me if you do it or not. So okay, yeah, that's cool. Independence, yada yada yada, at the school, but communication. Sort of curious how the communication aspect is going to become, um, really hammered home. That's something that I think that is left out of the equation in a lot of schools and a lot of schooling in general
Well,
is
schooling is, yeah, it's sit there, listen, and you just, who's the most obedient person is gets the A, right? That's how school works.
yeah. One of the things that's constantly being told to us is
Mm,
or like, you can't do that, or like basically the idea that the constantly being suppressed thing is suppressing open communication. Parenting as we know it is ass backwards because parents are trying to do things in a way that'll better suit them and their
mm,
sanity at the cost of the kid and their sanity later on.
yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of Armo parents fucked up, is that they were trying to preserve their sanity. They were thinking they were doing the right thing by shutting their kids up or telling them not to cry when like the kid had every right to cry, or we're
Yeah.
telling them not to. So I think that communication is it's got to be an active it's got to be an actively uh, taught uh, quality of that kid.
Yeah.
Really, if
So,
I have a
yeah.
kid, it's just gonna be like me and him. Just what do you want? What is it? What are you feeling?
So right now, so Leo for his age, he communicates really good. He doesn't speak yet. He doesn't talk. He mumbles, right? Um,
He roars. You mean?
yeah, he roars. So one thing, especially Betty's done a really good job from early. It's like when he starts crying or ding, he usually wants something. She's like, okay, what do you want? Like she points, like, do you want that? Okay, do you want this? Like, and then he'll like now he walks and he starts pointing, like he or he's hungry and he'll just she teaches like sign language with him. So he'll do like the hungry or like I want, like so he's starting to like tell us what he wants. We're not just, oh, you're crying here, just stop. Right. It's more like, okay, what do you want? Like let's talk about it. Oh, you want to play with the coffee machine? No, you're not playing with the coffee machine right now. Like you don't need coffee. It's okay. Uh, but but you want pretzels? Okay, let's go get you some
Get you
pretzels.
a pretzel?
Yeah. But coffee, yeah.
Not you, Leo. Not right now.
It's 6 p.m. Coffee's probably not the best move right now, buddy. So it is important. It's very difficult though, because you easily want to just shut them up, right? It's trying to get through that and be like, okay, talk. Like, let me know. What do you want, man? Like, let's.
So let's say Leo. We're not talking about Leo, but Leo is in fact Ari or Shant. What's a practical tip you could give to, because I can't go like
Back.
this to P. I can't. So what does one do if they're trying to work on their communication skills? Do you think it's just baby steps? You start you start practicing radical honesty, but with smaller things.
Well, no, I think you can't go from zero to radical honesty, right? I think one, right, and obviously I'm a communication expert. Okay.
So
So
it's a known thing. Yeah. Yep.
actually, Betty was a communications major. Maybe we should ask her. Uh, she probably doesn't remember anything about what she learned, though.
They say writing it down is a very good way. Like even actively, like in the moment, writing it down gets your message across very, very well.
So here is, so for example, okay, I'm going to give you an example to say one of the what is um, the way to handle this for us, because I think we both struggle with it. I had an agent. They're like, oh, I need to be more organized. Right. I want to get more organized. So I gave them a schedule to follow. And this is the calendar. This is what you follow every night. Send me a picture of it. Right. That you did it for accountability. And, like if you didn't, that's fine. Just grade yourself on how you did that day. One day they do it. One day they don't. One day they do it. They forget. They don't do it. Hey, what happened? Oh, yeah, I know I got to do it. Okay, they're going to do it. They don't do it. Right. So it just, and I'm like, hey, I thought you said you wanted to be more organized. Then I'm like, hey, what's going on? Like, they're just like, well, I just got to do it. I'm like, then I communicated finally, hey, you do this, you will get to that. And I had to really go back and explain the purpose, right? In my head, I was just like, hey, you should just do this because it's good for you. In my head, I knew why, but I never communicated why that is the reason. So like with the chicken, right? It's like, hey, everyone, staff, this chicken machine is the spinning machine is going to be great for us because we're going to be able to do a lot more and you guys are going to be a lot more freer. So we need this machine to be working perfectly. We need to figure out what's the best way to use it so we can make more while you guys are able to do some other stuff, right? So like communicate the vision. So I think that's what we need to like communicate the vision, your goal, your purpose. And then if they don't really pay attention, then it's on them at that point. But I know I went off on a long tangent there. What are your thoughts on that whole communicating the actual purpose, going deeper?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a fine line in terms of not blowing the fuck up and just yelling, fucking put the chicken on correctly. I think that's a good start. Communicating the message is not about just blurting it out, I don't think.
Yeah, like, hey, just make sure the chicken's spinning.
Yeah. Basically what you're saying is phrase it in such a way that goes a little bit deeper as opposed to just telling them you're a fucking moron and you're not doing things properly, but you're making them resent the shit out of you. There's definitely way. Basically, we're just playing a game with how the words are being said, and how those words can have the best effect on your relationship with that other person. However,
Yeah.
let me ask you this last question. In the effort of communicating better and more effectively, do you find that there is a level of dishonesty that comes with it in terms of not communicating exactly how you want to communicate? Do you find that there is that slight incongruency there? Do you find that maybe as an adult you have to accept the fact that there's going to be that incongruency in terms of what you feel like saying and what you should be saying?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yes, because
A little bit of a challenge,
yeah,
no?
because what you want to say is you're a fucking idiot. But so yes, because I think it goes back to the empathetic, like be empathetic to that person. Very difficult for us. Very difficult.
Yes. Yes. Because if you were to ask my father to say this in one way that just makes the most sense for him, I think he would take that first way. That's the only way I know. And I think
Yeah.
that's where I learned my communication skills is that
Because I think we see things, like one, two, step one, two, three, four, and we expect everyone else to. So our expectations are high of others.
my expectations are low of others. That's why I'm in the mess that I'm in. This is why I can't ask people to do favors for me, is because my expectation. If there was a negative, a zero, and a below expectation, oh, bro, I'd be like negative like 5 on what I expect. Bad. I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. For example, I could ask somebody, closest possible friend of mine, to give me a ride or bail me out of like jail. And for me, it would be a toss up. I don't know if that favor is gonna happen.
Well, you call your brother. That's who you call.
Yeah, but he'd show up like 6 to 10 hours late.
Be like, I had to run a quick errand.
He'd certainly show up, but not at like a decent time.
I had to grab some coffee first. I had to go to New Hampshire to get cigarettes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, oh, my phone died and I didn't see your text message until now. It's just, I have people say like, oh, you're negative. No, I just have been through a ton of shit. What do you want me to do?
You're right. Because like, if there's ever anything, when I lived in Jersey, like if there's ever anything, like if I called Stock and said, hey, bro, I need you to come down to Jersey right now, he would 100%.
He would, but he'd show up next week.
Ready though. Like he'd be like, all right, bro, what's up? Like, let's go. I'm like, bro, it's done. Like,
yeah. Summer already. I fucking called you in February, bro. Fuck. Fucking. Anyway, so yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I think communication very important. We're gonna work on it. And being a YouTuber, being an influencer, podcaster, being a actor doesn't make you a good communicator. It just makes you a good entertainer.
Yeah, man. I'm not. My communications, but my skill level, my communication skill level is lacking. Definitely lacking. Definitely better than it was, but definitely got a lot of room to go. Anyway.
So let's next week, man. I just texted you this. Let's not right now, but our favorite vacation spots and why.
Yeah, I'm interested about this whole Milan thing. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more.
Maybe you could talk to your dad about his favorite place he's ever been to and why. I think he told me once it was like Switzerland or something. I don't know.
My dad's been to a lot of places, man.
Yeah. Ask him by the next episode what is his favorite place and why. And don't tell him not to say Armenia or something. Like.
Oh, Armenia.
Yeah. Okay. Second
why?
favorite.
Oh, it's been 10 years. I haven't been 12 years. I haven't been to Armenia.
Yeah, same.
Crazy, man.
All right. Well, you got to go to sleep.
By the way, it's 7:15 at night. I'm kidding. No, it's 9:20 at the time of recording this.
Eastern.
Good night, Shant.
Good night, everyone.